Hello, my name is Charisse and welcome to Arts and Crimes. Today we're going to talk about true stories behind terrifying Japanese urban legends. The real Japanese legends that give us the heebie-jeebies range from human sacrifices to haunted tunnels. The following may sound like they come from Japanese horror movies, but they're mostly true stories. Is this Japan's most haunted tunnel? Whether Inunki Village ever existed is the real mystery here. Online and in Japan, rumors about it have persisted since the 1990s. According to rumors, this abandoned village is located deep in the Inunki countryside of Japan. In the legends, all those who enter the village are doomed to violent deaths. There appears to be a sign saying the Japanese constitution isn't in effect past here, meaning that anyone entering the area will have to face their own horrors, real or supernatural. It is likely, however, that the tales were inspired by a brutal murder that actually happened in the Inunki Tunnel. Because of its remote location and lack of traffic, the tunnel was a favorite hangout for gangs. 20-year-old Umeyama Kuichi was kidnapped, robbed, and tortured. And they were burned alive. This was all done by a group of teens one afternoon in December 1988. Inunki Tunnel, or the Howling Dog Tunnel, is considered one of Japan's most haunted places. The entrance is blocked by large concrete bricks, though adventurers manage to get in regardless. The tunnel is filled with sounds of barking dogs and ghastly screams. Locals say that their electronics and even their cars frequently fail nearby. Takashi Shimizu, the creator of Ju-on, The Grudge, based his 2020 film, Howling Village, on the legends of the tunnel. In 1918, Ikichi Suzuki bought his sister Kikuko a traditional Japanese doll called an okappa. Sadly, Kikuko died of a cold, so the family kept the doll as a shrine to their daughter and named it Okiku. Over time, however, the family noticed something strange about the doll. Her hair was growing longer, and they believed that the doll contained the restless spirit of their deceased daughter, and so cared for it until handing it over to the Manenji Temple. It is still there too, slowly growing her human hair, which actually has been tested in a lab to actually belong to human. Thanks, I hate it. The doll's hair has grown from a bob cut to now it's beyond its knees. The priests even have to trim her hair. The priests claim to have nightmares of Okiku. They say that the doll's mouth is slowly opening and sprouting baby teeth in their dreams. Maruka Castle is rumored to harbor dark secrets. Human sacrifices called hitobashira were practiced in Japan up until the 16th century. Living victims were walled up in pillars, dams, and other building foundations in order to appease the gods, who would protect the building from attacks and natural disasters. It's a pretty decent trade-off there. The term also is applied to workers who have been buried alive. One of the most famous hitobashira stories takes place in Maruka Castle in Sakai-Fuku Prefecture. No matter how much it was reinforced, one of the castle walls kept collapsing. The castle lord was then suggested to make a hitobashira, or a sacrifice. Oshizu was a one-eyed peasant woman with children, and she was picked to be sacrificed. Apparently, the poor mother only asked that her sons be made samurai after the ritual. Oshizu was buried under the central pillar of the castle. The castle lords did not keep their promise, and her 2 sons were never made samurai. Following that, every spring rain would cause the moat to overflow when it was time to cut the algae. The locals thought it was the tears of Oshizu's sorrow, and they decided to build a tomb in order to appease her restless spirit. A poem which has been passed down through the generations was also recited. The rain which falls when the season of cutting algae comes is the rain reminiscent of the tears of the poor Oshizu's sorrow. Doesn't rhyme. The Red Room is based on a death-themed flash animation that has become popular on the internet after an 11-year-old girl in Nagasaki stabbed her classmate to death while at school. The Red Room animation was a favorite of the young girl. So you'll be in a room alone, and then the curse will begin with a pop-up on your computer screen. It has a red background with black letters asking, "Do you like the Red Room?" A list of past victims appears on the screen as the entire screen turns red, and I'm not sure if it's something supernatural or whether the victim decides to just end themselves. According to this legend, everyone dies, and their blood covers the walls. That's why it's called the Red Room. Ooh. Akamato, or Red Cloak, meets his victims when they are most vulnerable, on the toilet. Akamato wears a white mask and a long red cape. Legends about Akamato vary greatly. His story often involves red and blue toilet paper. He seems to always ask the victim to choose the color, red or blue. Very Matrixy, no? And whatever you choose, Akamato will kill you. Choosing red will reward you in a stabbing, spilling blood all over the stall. If you pick blue, then Akamato will suffocate you or suck your blood, leaving you blue-faced and dead on the floor. Gross. So it's been said that you should either ignore the monster or run away. Akamato's origins are a mystery, but are likely inspired by the Japanese school toilets where many grisly murders occur. Hanako-san, are you there? There is also a Bloody Mary urban legend in Japan. Hanako is a spirit summoned just like her Western counterparts. You may get a reply if you enter the restroom on the 3rd floor, knock 3 times, and ask, "Hanako, are you there?" Slowly then the door will creak open and you'll just see a little girl in a red skirt. Hanako usually asks children if they need a friend. And no matter what the children say, Hanako will still drag them under a stall till their deaths. It's not funny. Japanese ghosts, not to be trusted. According to Matt Myers, a folklorist, he believes her story dates back to the 1950s. Most accounts say she is a ghost child who died in a bombing raid in her school bathroom during World War II. Perhaps it's another example of why school bathrooms are creepier than they ought to be, right? And lastly, my favorite. A long time ago in Japan, a young, beautiful woman lived happily with her husband, who was a samurai. However, she was very vain, and one day she secretly cheated on her husband after meeting a younger and attractive man. Enraged, the samurai raised his sword and mutilated her, mouth, ear to ear. He said, quote, "Who will think you're beautiful now?" unquote. After the incident, the woman died either of her injuries or committed suicide. She later then became a restless spirit, doomed to roam on earth for eternity. As a vengeful spirit, she would hide behind bushes and stalk students who walked home from school during the late afternoon. While a naive student hears rustling sounds within the bushes and they go to check it out, the woman will appear right in front of him or her and ask them if she's beautiful or not. If the student replied no, she immediately killed them. But if the student replied yes, she would take off her surgical mask and reveal her horrendous slit mouth. The woman will proceed to ask him or her if she is beautiful now. And if the student persists on saying no, she will then cut them in half with her scissors. However, if the student replied yes, the woman will mutilate his or her mouth ear to ear. While it's obvious that the person should probably run away from the situation, this is impossible because the woman will simply reappear right in front of them. Remember that folklorist, Matthew Meyer? Well, he described this legend as having roots dating back to Japan's Edo period, which is like the time of samurais, which spanned from the 17th to 19th century. Rumors about the slit-mouthed woman spread throughout Japan, creating hysteria to the point that young children would sometimes be accompanied by members of a parent or teacher association groups while walking home from school. And there you have it. True stories behind 7 terrifying Japanese urban legends. I hope you enjoyed those as much as I did. I'm sorry about my voice. I'm losing it. I'll find it someday. And I hope to see you guys next time. Don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps my channel grow. It's hungry. Bye.